Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. You're around the shoots, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Toast. Of course, I'm Miss Helen, and we have one of our fresh faces to our podcast, and I'm so excited. And welcome to Payton Howie. How are you, Payton?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for joining us. And I have went through and listened to your music and familiarized myself with you. And you have like my kind of music in my wheelhouse with the attitude, and you're so young and you have such a strong voice. So tell me about your musical background.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've always just loved country music. I mean, I love all genres, don't get me wrong, but I feel like country just tells a story more than most genres do. And I feel like listening to country music is almost like listening to how life, most country songs, how life should be, how we treat each other, how we feel about our family, the country that we live in. I feel like that's what country music is about. And I feel like, if you want to know how to be a good American citizen, go ahead and listen to some country music.
That is so true. That is so true. And you have some good country music on your library. So how did you get started? You started very young.
Yeah, honestly, I've been singing, playing instruments since I can remember. But as far as playing shows and, getting things started with original music, recording and writing, I would say I started about, 15 years old, 15, 16 is kind of when I started doing the thing. I got my very first guitar when I turned 16. And since then, I've just been, on a mission.
So you're original singer songwriter.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you play instruments?
Yeah, I play guitar and I play a little bit of keys. I started out playing piano when I was real young. But I was always a little bit of a stubborn kid. So I was never like, I want to read the music and just play Beethoven or whatever. I was always like, I'm going to listen by ear and just start playing things the way I hear them. And from there, I taught myself to play guitar, and I've just been traveling different states and playing shows.
Well, one word that you said that stands out to me is stubborn, because your your music has so much grit and attitude. I see a little bit of Gretchen Wilson, Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert. So who are some of your musical influences?
Well, right off the bat, you got me with Gretchen. Gretchen is, I love her voice. I love her style. And honestly, I don't think there's any female country artist out there like her. So I appreciate the compliment. Carrie Underwood's definitely up there on that list. She was my first concert when I was 5, and she brought me up on stage with her. And I remember that being like a pivotal moment for me. So definitely her as well. Reba, Dolly, Loretta Lynn for sure. By far one of my favorites on the list for sure.
So Carrie Underwood brought you up on the stage when you were 5?
Yeah, she did. It was my very first concert, and she was singing, and how the lights it was actually an outdoor arena type show, and the lights were panning across the audience, stopped where I was dancing kind of in the aisles of chairs, and she tells her bodyguard, hey, bring that little girl up on stage. So he comes over and he asks my mom, Carrie wants your daughter on stage. So he brought me over there, got me up there. She was holding my hand and we were singing songs, and that was on her Some Hearts tour right after American Idol.
Right. So growing up, when you went to school, were there any activities you did in school? Did you concentrate on music?
Well, since I was about, I would say 5 or 6, I've been playing softball. That was a huge part of my life. So I played softball from T-ball all the way up to, I committed to play Division II college ball straight out of high school. And at that exact same time, I started releasing original music and playing shows. So I kind of had to make a choice, but softball is definitely my second love for sure.
Well, my daughter was an athlete, and
Really?
she's a coach now, and straight out of
Oh,
college
cool.
she coached volleyball and softball, but she did the softball thing, and I loved watching her play. And there's just such a camaraderie amongst you softball girls, and that's a lot of discipline and a lot of practice.
It definitely is. And I remember thinking that, you know, coming into the music scene and looking back on lessons that I learned from softball and in volleyball as well. I played in high school, just learning about, like, you know, teamwork and all these things that you have to kind of remember when you're working on a project, you know, recording music or writing, and understanding that it's, you know, it's not all just what you do. It takes multiple different people to get it done, you know?
Okay, so since we're kind of gotten to know you a little bit, of course, and one thing I did want to bring up, so you're a California girl originally.
Originally, yeah, I'm from the West Coast.
Okay, so let's dig into your music, because your music is amazing. I want to talk about first, let's talk about Never Go Home. You have no idea. I am in a little Texas coastal town. And like, this could Never Go Home could be our theme song, because like sometimes Tuesday, that's our night to like really just bring it and like have our cocktails and play our music loud. And I love the part where it talks
Yeah.
about, there's just so many lyrics in there that hit me. Such a fun song, and the streaming on it went crazy. So tell me about the background on Never Go Home.
Oh my gosh, Never Go Home. So to start out, Never Go Home is a song on my EP that's gonna be released first quarter of 2022. And you know, when you have a project like that, you gotta have a party song. You know, you can't get away with not having a party song. And that is just one of the many facets of who I am as a person. I mean, I love to get down and have a good time. Like, there's no denying that. But that's just kind of how it all started. I got to co-write this song with Michael Austin and Eric Halbig, and Joanna Yeager out in Nashville when we were writing. And we were just talking about, especially coming out of, 2020, how, nuts that was. And we just were talking about all the best times, being with good friends, good family, having good food, you know what I'm saying? And, just getting down and having a good time, playing some party games. And that's kind of what we were reminiscing on. And I'm a lake girl, so I spend a lot of time out on the lake in Texas and in Nashville as well. So that's where we ended up shooting that music video. And that was totally the inspiration behind the song, was just having a good time with good people.
Yeah.
And since then we had it on Spotify. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the video. I watched the video, and it's like, I'm telling you, it's like it could so meet us coastal people too.
Oh yeah, I know. And it's just like, I feel like wherever the party is getting down, people can just get with that song and understand, like, it's just about us having a good time. And if you're not with it, well, you can go somewhere else.
And then another song that stood out to me was another Attitude song, Troublemaker. And I love how you have the Rip Jean line in that song when it starts out.
Yeah, it's funny. I think you're probably the first person to ask me about that Rip Jean Attitude line, but I'll be real with you. The inspiration for that line, I got that Rip Jean Attitude. I actually came up with that when I was, I think, about a senior in high school. I'm going to be real with you. I went to a private school in high school, and there were just happened to be a lot of rules, and I was always getting in trouble for not following the dress code, because I would always show up with my jeans all ripped. And it was just kind of like, I just wasn't down with it. I tend to not be much of a rule follower. I tend to be more of like listen, I'm going to do things my way. I'm not trying to cause any problems. That's just how I am. I'm sorry. That's kind of how that was inspired.
Yeah, I can't even imagine you not being, I mean, it's like, just through your music, I feel like I know you, but I thought that was a great song. And also F-150, there's nothing like, I'm just that driving kind of person. And like, when things weren't going so good, it was like, I'm taking my drive, I'm going to think through this and turn my music up, but there's nothing like getting in the driver's seat and just driving it off. And F-150, I feel like maybe has a story behind it.
Totally. Yeah, that was I was inspired to write that song after, it was kind of a rough patch in life. It was around the holidays, and typically the holidays, everyone's all together. It's it's people coming together, family, and spending time with each other. And that just wasn't the case for me that year. And had some things going on, and that was my getaway. Was I'd get in my truck and I'd go just like tear up dirt fields, whatever it was. And I wrote that song in my truck at like 3 a.m, out in a dirt field, and that's how F-150 was born.
I love it. And that's why I think that I related that song so much, because, it's one thing to go through kind of rough, a rough point in life, but then when it's during the holidays, and I've had that experience, that's why I bonded with that song. That's a really good one. So you've been doing some shows in Texas.
Yeah. After, the whole COVID thing started, I've been out in Nashville, spending a lot of time out there. I live there, and my family lives out in Texas. And I've, been playing a ton of shows out in Texas, because there's just such a huge love and appreciation for original music and just rowdy country music out in Texas. And it's the coolest thing. I've never experienced anything like it. And I love being out there and playing shows. So my tour schedule in Texas specifically has been off the charts fun.
Yeah, well, I think that you're going to fit in real good with your attitude and your music here in Texas. I noticed that you're playing a lot, kind of like in the Northwest Houston area, like Spring and Willis.
Yeah, no, those people know how to get down for sure.
Oh, yes, we do, for sure. So what do you have coming up in the near future?
I have a lot of music coming out. I am getting ready for releases like my single Country Before Me. Really looking forward to that one. That one is one of my softer songs that is going to be on the upcoming project, first quarter of 2022. And that song talks a lot about my appreciation for the traditional females in country music that paved a way for, girls like me to have that attitude and to have that, right to write original music and perform it and stand up on a stage and do that kind of thing and lead bands. Like, there's women out there, the traditional women in country, they did that for us. And I appreciate that. So I wrote that song, Country Before Me. It was awesome. I got to do it with Eric Halbig, plays lead for Sarah Evans, and Michael Austin as well. And it was just super cool to get to like come together and talk about all these females. And obviously we can't mention all of them, but the ones that we did were ones that just have stories that talk about, women that are just strong and bold and have these stories that are unlike other things that you're hearing in the industry. And I got to be in the studio with some really talented musicians. Mike Johnson plays steel for Reba, Dolly and Garth's bass player. Billy Noble plays keys for Tim McGraw, and so many other talented musicians. And I just feel like it was so fitting, and I was so humbled. It was so fitting, especially considering the backstory of the song, just being those traditional artists and what they've done for country music.
Yes, well, we're super excited to have you coming to Texas to play. What part of Texas did your parents move to?
They live on Lake Conroe, near Houston.
Oh, okay. All right. I think you and Kyle may have something in common. Kyle's people's kind of up in there. Well, it's been a pleasure visiting with you. We're going to watch your music and just come and tear it up in Texas. And we have a lot of great artists in Texas, and especially our girls. They're so talented. We have so many, and you're just going to fit right in.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you're right. There's definitely some awesome females out in like Texas that are doing the country thing. That I've had the opportunity to meet, Bree Bagwell, Morgan Ashley, and it's just like all of them off the charts. Super cool.
Yeah, well, super excited for you. And thank you so much for joining us on the Texas Toast podcast.
Thank you for having me.